Greetings, everybody. It is at this end, Sunday, January 16th, and I recognize it's been a few days since I last spoke, aside from some good back-and-forth discussion, by the way, to last Wednesday's post, which I appreciated. So let's get right to this. Content's going to range from the relatively mundane administrative to the theoretical realm of the trading world. So let's start with the administrative side. A couple of minor tweaks to the website. I've added a link just above the mini blog update in the right-hand margin to the December 29th presentation that I gave Linda Radke and her team. I'll leave that up for a little bit. It's about a 2-hour audio-video combination. So feel free, if you have some time, if you haven't already, to check that out. Again, provided in the spirit of trying to further trader education. I've also added a Facebook like button capability at the bottom of each post, and we'll do so going forward. If you come across content that you feel is either worth sharing, or you just want to let me know that you like a given post or its content more than the average post, if you will, feel free to let me know. That'll help me continue to draft future content, even though this will remain a trader diary to a large extent. Want to continue to make sure that people are finding it worthwhile. Otherwise, it's not worth doing. The other administrative item I wanted to note is to follow up on something that I mentioned briefly at the end of last year, which is I will indeed be accepting a role as a chief investment advisor for an investment firm. That role will formally begin this week. I'll have more information on that in a non-sales approach coming this week sometime. So something that I'm very, very excited about. We're structuring in a way where I will continue to be able to further the education cause on the trading side. We'll continue to be able to blog, and so that'll be an overlay. And I greatly appreciate that opportunity. We've done a lot of groundwork to prepare for that, and very much looking forward to that. So I will provide more information on that as the week progresses. What I wanted to do to a large extent today is touch on a topic that actually came through in one of the comments to last week's posts, which I received Saturday morning. And I'm going to read to you a couple of excerpts here that I really want to touch on and respond to. And I'm going to just read the comment here. It says, your dissatisfaction with the educational arm of this industry has been well documented in many of your posts. Why do you believe the industry's educational arm has failed to produce its promised results? Is it a problem with the educators, or is it a fundamental problem with teaching subjectivity? He goes on further to say it's been well noted that you teach discretion feel for the market as your primary approach to trading. Now, that's not correct, and I'll explain that in a second. You've mentioned it takes time and repetition to teach feel for the markets. We don't teach our other professions in this manner, so why is it appropriate for this industry? For example, we don't teach engineers to feel if it's appropriate to add structural supports to a building. Very interesting question in a dialogue that I've had many, many times over the years. And I don't know this person. I don't know if he has an engineering background, and I assume so. But it certainly has provoked a great deal of thought at this end. And I've got some notes here. I was originally going to type this post out today, but it just wasn't coming across the way I wanted to. So, we of course use many terms for the word feel, discretion, judgment, sense, all those sorts of things. And the first thing that comes to mind at my end is that there's no doubt that that in-depth knowledge of the market and of technical analysis as a measuring device is absolutely critical to start with. Just as meteorologists predict the weather and the wind and all that with their measuring devices, we certainly need to measure the human emotion that drives markets at this end. So that's certainly true. And it's also very true that there are many professions in this world where it's not subjective and it's not based on feel. Engineering, accounting, and I can say this again because I was a former accountant, and I look at my early trading days and the things that I had to unlearn are two careers that come to mind. Debits have to equal credits. Engineering structural supports do have to be built in a sound manner. Otherwise, buildings will fail and lives will be at risk. So, one of the things, in fact, when I work with new traders or just talk to traders, people with those backgrounds, it kind of shoots up a warning flag in terms of of us, and I say us including myself, needing to overcome those skills that so well suited us in those other careers where precision was absolutely mandatory. When we shift our mindset to approaching a business where there is no such thing as precision, and everything is imperfect. So, in fact, one of the things I ask traders, if they're really serious about this business, is do they really want to learn how to trade and trade on a discretionary basis, or would they rather be using their existing skills, for example, to build trading systems or to build financial reporting systems and that kind of thing. I remember in my early days of trading, I had these wonderful reports. I was really good at accounting. I could slice and dice all of my statistics 1,000 different ways, and I had probably the world's best reporting system for really horrible trading, and had to work through that. And that's why I'm not a big believer. We had some back and forth, I know, recently on the level at which traders should keep statistics. And it comes to me as no surprise that good traders keep very few statistics, because they're not focused on the statistics. They're focused on performance, and every now and then they'll check their stats, certain stats, to see how well they're doing. So, that's something that people are going to have to determine on their own. And of course, there are black box systems out there. There are systems where you can take 100% of your own emotion out of the markets and through quantifiable analysis come up with a black box, which, to this day, there's no such thing as a perfect black box. And I don't work with them. That's not to say whether they're right or wrong. We've debated that, many times in the past. They're just different options. I'm a discretionary trader that bases his trading decisions primarily on technical analysis, and yet tempered with judgment. Just as an airline pilot will often fly his aircraft based on the technicals that he's receiving in the cockpit, and even on autopilot at times, but everything being overridden by judgment when necessary. So that's what I do as a trader, and for people that don't want to just buy or give their money to a black box, this is what I teach as well. What else? It is very, very interesting in terms of this whole concept of feel. I know that as I approach year 50 in my life, that it's almost a science versus art discussion in terms of what makes the best trader, and we could have hours and hours and hours of discussion on that. But just to share my perspective, I go back to the first Jelly effort, where we had the former NFL quarterback on the team, and he made this wonderful analogy about when he came from the college ranks to the professional ranks. He was really great at going through a very mechanical approach to quarterbacking. He would take the snap and drop back, and he would go through his progression of reads in a very system-like manner. And the veteran quarterback who really needed to further school him once he joined the team and made it to the pros, helped explain to him that over time that the truly great quarterbacks and those which had stellar performance, got to a point where they took that snap and they could begin to sense at one time, based on their experience and based on what they were seeing very, very quickly, they could see at one time the whole field and know within a second or two where that ball's going to go. And such is so very true in trading. And the subjectivity that we have to develop as traders is so very important and does take time. Trading is as I've said many times, is a mental sport. It is a performance-based sport. And when I look at the sports of the world, when I look at the performance-based professions of the world, whether it be, music's a good example, and I see this with my own daughter. Anybody can learn the notes. Anybody can learn the, how to move the bow up and down against the strings. But very few people can make music. And what we're trying to do in this business, if we really want to excel in our performance, is make music. And I find it interesting that the I think some of the things in this world that are the most powerful all have to do with that which we can't easily get our arms around, that which we can't touch, that which we can't see. The medical science of homeopathy, for example, which I'm very familiar with, it's a holistic approach to healing that's frequently used in Europe, but often dissed in the United States, because it's a science that takes a medicinal element in this world and dilutes it to an extent where there's almost no medicine left after the dilution, but it's left with a vital force and an energy component which when matched with with the person's right health difficulty, unleashes the most powerful healing force, natural healing force, to kick the body's immune system into gear. But it makes no sense. It's such a small, unseen, almost unmeasured element. How can that be very powerful? I look at the truth of Christ, the 100% truth of Christ that for people 2,000 years later aren't able to see necessarily in a tangible manner, yet is 100% real. The music from the violinists, and we could go on and on and on. It is, in my strong yet humble opinion, it is so very important in this business. As I've said before, so many can learn the technical aspects in a very, very short period of time in this market, in terms of patterns, in terms of opportunity. Yet, like the violinist, why is it such that that many can play the instrument, but few can make the music? And I guess that's the best way that I can try to respond to this person. And it was a good question. It was very thought-provoking at this end. Yet it reinforces the importance of why I'm trying to do the things that I'm trying to do in terms of what I'll call a holistic approach to trading, where a combination of blogging, free blogging, and seminars and webinars, and for those that needed a little bit more in-depth education via more formal efforts, that's really why I think it's the only way to do it. I have been asked over the last, several months, and even going back before that, to participate in some weekend seminars. I have been approached by two entities who have offered to mass market my educational program. And one of the reasons, I guess, is because of the response to people that have been through it. And I've said no, and I know from a business and marketing perspective that's probably a horrible strategy. And it's a fine line between trying to reach people with something that you feel is going to be helpful for them via trying to push something on people. And so that's why I frankly subscribe to the if somebody knocks on my door and stumbles across this and opens it, I'll be on the other side of that door. But I'm not one to go knocking on doors. It's not my philosophy, and it may be the poorest marketing strategy for a trading educational business that anyone can ever think of, with all the money that's left on the table. But I have no interest in that, frankly, and I'm going to continue to do what I do. And for those who are interested and knock and open the door, then that's where we'll go from there. So that's why it's been quite unique what we've built, I think, here over time, and maybe there is a little bit of the intangible that's going on, and certainly I appreciate the wonderful community that we've built here. I say we, it is we, not me, and all that kind of good stuff. What else? Someone emailed me the other day saying that we're now the number one Google site for S&P trader education, for whatever that's worth. I guess people are finding their way here for whatever that means. I don't know. What else? Trading After Dark update. I am about through my transition to the order entry platform. I have been giving very careful thought again to how to launch this, and in part to I don't want this to come across as Again, look what he's doing because of his size, and we can't do that because we don't trade his size. As I said the other day, that is the most lame and lazy argument that anyone can make in this business. That is a bunch of BS. Okay? And to prove that point, I'm actually taking a day where I'm trading very, very small sizes between 1 and 15 contracts, okay, and proving that you can create a profitable, effective wholesale business if you know what you're doing. You know, there may be Walmarts, but there's also local hardware stores down the street that do very well so long as the business is well run and well managed. So the first thing that I'm going to launch will likely be a combination of what I call a lemonade stand and more of the larger Walmart type store. And so I'm getting closer to that. We've had to rework a few screens with a change to Photon, which is going very, very well. I'll talk more about that this coming week. So long weekend at this end. I'm just looking over here to see if there's anything else I wanted to chat about. I had in my notes here, what does one do with success? And that's been the theme in terms of a few comments lately. And it's something that I guess all of us have to take a hard look and ask ourselves, when we've been blessed with a certain amount of success, what are we supposed to do with it? And I don't think I'll ever have the right answer to that. But I hope it's because, we're to show others that they can be inspired, that if we can achieve something with our humble beginnings and our continuing trials, then so can others. But do so in a way that isn't pompous. And that's the best thing that I can come up with. I guess the best response is to try to inspire people to look at the life as being, you have this, is the glass half empty or half full? There are a lot of half empty people out there. There are a lot of people that are trying to poke holes in everything. And I think when you look at it in terms of whether the glass is half empty or half full, if you really believe something is half empty, and after objective and subjective analysis, it truly is half empty, then do your darndest to fill it up. And that's what we're trying to do, certainly here on the educational side. Don't just complain about it. I've had my beefs with portions of this industry. I've tried to do something about it. It's not perfect. And until we get to the next life, nothing will be. So when we look at life and we see, the cup, is it half empty or is it half full? I'll tell you from my perspective, it's neither. It's overflowing through the grace of God, and that's the story that we're supposed to be telling people. So I hope that helps. Think about it. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next week. Take care.